This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and for the first time I'm delighted to be joined by Tyson Fury. Shane, how are you?
All good here. Just here in camp, nothing special really. A lot of people think it's fun, but it's not. It's pretty much same thing every day. You know?
Shane, we've seen how serious you guys have taken kind of COVID protocols, and I've seen be on the back of, unfortunately, the little outbreak within the camp a few months ago. That, alongside, unfortunately, baby Fina went into hospital when she was newly born. Thankfully, she seems to be okay now, from my understanding. How has camp gone around all of that, though, for Tyson?
Well, the last camp was there was nothing wrong with it, sparring well, but we sort of forgot. It was a free for all in the gym, and the part of the team was going out and doing what they was doing, and we obviously fought it back, and obviously caught COVID, and that was it. There was nothing you could do about it. But this has been totally different. About the baby, I think there was complications, wasn't there? But it was it's been dealt with, and thank God everything's okay. You know, and I don't think it interrupted with the camp at all. He's at the end of his camp now, and the last week, a week ago, was on about if it was any longer the camp would have had to held back, you know, because there's always a worry of overtraining, and you may as well be undertrained or not done anything at all and overtrained because it's just stale. So at the minute he's fit and he's strong.
We speak here now about some of the difficulties Tyson's gone through over the last 4 or 5 months, but at the same time, listening to him do his print interview earlier, it's arguably the happiest that I've seen him just before a fight and in a fight week. Do you think that's fair to say, or do you think, can you remember a happier time?
Do you know what it is? You've obviously heard it before, but before it used to be a training camp, military style, and probably come in overweight and just. He used to be a boxer in camp, and that was it. But now he's just it's totally different. He'll train every day. That is his problem. That's his fault. You know, I told him not like I don't know anything. Listen, I know what I've picked up over the years, and he was doing before the last camp. He was doing like 20 rounds of sparring to the body, and he was doing 10-mile runs. He would have been fit for a fight before he started camp, and then he got 8 weeks on top of that. He started having cold sores on his mouth and everything else. So I believe when your body's run down, you pick up viruses faster than what you would when it's not. So that is even though it's a positive for him, it's actually a weakness in training, because you can't be fit and then go into a training camp of 8 weeks and expect to feel fresh at the end of it. You know, in my understanding, you've got to be unfit to get fit, and when you go over the hill, you may as well not have done anything. But he had rest. He had a month off. He actually put a bit of weight on. He had a month off, and then his baby was in hospital, so he done nothing. And then when he come back, I had a phone call. He phoned me. Oh, I've done this. I felt really good in sparring. I've done this. I felt really good. Where when he's training hard, it's just a slog. But because he had the rest, everything's been on point. And listen, there's no excuses on our behalf. It's not a body contest. He's just a big man in shape, what can fight for 12 rounds at any pace he wants, any pace what needs to be. And I watched the Wilder 1 fight before I come here, and seeing what I'm seeing now, it was very frustrated to watch. Like, the openings was there, it was just like, get to it, and it just wasn't happening. Whether it was the wrong instructions or his body couldn't do it, I don't know, but it was very frustrating to watch and seeing what he's doing now. But he's getting it more. So there is opportunities for the other fighters, probably more so than other before, but he's actually fighting now to do damage and to stop people and knock people out.
Shane, it's interesting you mentioned this because obviously the first fight, most people thought he did enough to win it. It was ended as a draw. Second one, we saw him aggressive, come forwards and stop Deontay in that 7th round. What do you think we will see on Saturday night? What type of style do you think Tyson will look to impose? Is it more of the same from the second fight? Is he looking to be even more emphatic or to surprise people, go back to that first fight? How do you think he will approach it?
Well, I know exactly how he's going to approach it, but I can't really. I'm not really going to say any. But there's one way out to beat Tyson, and I'm not talking stupid. You got to hit him with one punch and knock him out, or one punch, buckle him, and then stop him. You know, if your faculties are not there, there's not what you can do. But barring that, you're not winning, especially Deontay Wilder. But he is capable of pulling the one punch out, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Tyson can adapt to any. Do you want me to hold that?
No.
Tyson can adapt. If he's, for an example, if he's getting outboxed, which I've never seen him get outboxed, but on a bad day, sometimes he's sloppy. And for an example, Jared Anderson, he's a very nice boxer. It's a dogfight. Right, I'm taking it to you. I'm not feeling it today, so you're having a dogfight, and he can do it either way, and that's the thing. And he don't need a cornerman to say, "Oh, we're behind" or "Things are not working." Tyson's got his own brain, and he knows when he's doing well and when he's not doing well, and he can adapt for when it is. And it's probably silly if things ain't going his way, chips are down. It's a fight, rough house fight, and if you can beat him in that, you're a better man. But I've not seen it yet.
Shane, you mentioned you need to just have that one punch to be able to beat Tyson. Deontay still arguably considered the heaviest hitter in the division. Despite these two despite the defeat and the draw, people will still say he's the heaviest hitter. When Tyson got dropped in that first fight on both occasions, when you spoke to him afterwards, how would he assess Deontay's power? Does he tell you straight up, "I've never been hit like that before," or does he say it's not as bad as what people talk about?
I don't think when you're in there, I don't think you can feel the power as much as what it is. But when you're stood beside ringside, Deontay Wilder's got hammers in his hands, and he can punch very hard. But again, once you're caught up in the heat in the moment, with like Tyson is, when he's in there, you're not really feeling it. To be honest with you. Yeah, so I don't think he'll tell you himself. I had no idea. Obviously, he can punch hard, but there's punching hard, and then there's sore punching what you feel and think, oh, that's an hard punch. But the hard punches, you don't feel it. You're asleep, are you? You put you to sleep. Obviously, Deontay Wilder is a big puncher, and Tyson is an heavy puncher, but there's obviously a lot more heavier punchers on Tyson. But the package, a full circle with Tyson, he's got it all. He's got good. You can't walk through him. He's got good power. There's plenty of heavyweights what can punch harder on him, but he's got respectable, good power, speed, heart, grit, nuts, determination, fitness. Listen, he's an 8 or a 9 or a 10 all the way around.
I'm sure, like most people, hope that this is the end of the Fury Wilder saga or bout, or however you want to word it. But if this is to be the case, does Tyson want to go out in emphatic style then? Does he want to not just impose himself, but he wants to make a statement against Deontay, especially because, to my recollection, we haven't really seen Deontay ever give Tyson credit for either of his two past performances?
Yeah, I do. I think he's already mentioned it. He's in. Do you know what? Before the fights was made, before the first fight was made, we actually thought Wilder was a nice guy. Like, he's all right, but man probably is a nice man, but he's a very irritating man, and he's got that way. What I can understand why none of these people like him. He's an arrogant. I don't like him.
Is it hard for you? Is it hard for you to bite your tongue a little bit because of the stuff he said about Tyson, the cheating accusations, and all of that?
me and Tyson was on about it the other day. Like, he's got to come up with something in order to think he's going to win. You know, because if it was just to hold his hands up and say, listen, that's what happened, the better man won. You know, it's I don't know if he's got different people work in different ways, but obviously he needs some false encouragement by people, and for people to say, yeah, a load of shite really, but it's not for me. But he's an irritating man, and I hope Tyson does damage to him in the ring. And I don't wish nothing bad on him. I hope he gets knocked out in 9 seconds and gets up at 10. Perfect. But I hope it does happen. More so than ever before.
Shane, just to go back a couple of weeks, we saw another big heavyweight fight between Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk. I'm sure you were all disappointed to see AJ lose that fight simply because of what could have been a huge undisputed bout between your brother and AJ. Just going back to it, what's your take on Anthony Joshua's defeat to Alexander Usyk?
Well, for one, I predicted it. Not because I'm anything great. I think, do you know what it is? Joshua is a lovely man, isn't he? For what he gives us, and he's hard not to like. If it wasn't for me supporting Tyson, I'd be probably one of his biggest fans. But Usyk is a proper slick southpaw boxer, and it's a southpaw alone is trouble. But listen, he done what he could. He done his best. A lot of people say you got to go out there guns blazing, but in order to go guns blazing, you need to be a specific kind of fighter. Like for an example, like people saying, "Do you want off Derek Chisora's fight with Usyk?" But Derek Chisora is a man what can set a pace at 75% and stick to that. It was a bad recipe for Usyk. Now there's mixed opinions in our team. Some of our team think he was playing possum to Chisora, but I don't believe that. I think just styles make fights. He picked a pace and he can stay at that. The thing is with Joshua, he can hit 100 in 5 seconds. He can sustain 100 for about a minute, and then he'll drop down, but then he needs to take 3 rounds or 2 rounds off. If you took that gamble with Usyk, if he got through that round, he'd stop him the next round. You know what I mean? And it's about, my dad saying, it's about knowing your fighter. Again, mixed opinions. I believe his trainers did know him, and they've seen what it's about. And if you go all out blazing, Usyk's a man what won't let you recover. And if you can't, if you're gassed, he'll stop you. So I don't know. If it was me, which obviously it's not, I wouldn't take the rematch. I'd rebuild. I just think he's not got his confidence in the ring. I'd rebuild, and I'd probably have 5 fights. I'd have 5 fights with lower opponents. To build the confidence up, build it up, and build them back up to big fights, and leave Tyson deal with Usyk and whoever else, and then he can come back up, and it'd be big fights later on. But jumping into a fight, what was just when you're not boosting with confidence before the fight, because of the last fights, and then jumping back into it, I just don't see an outcome what can win, because I don't think he's got the gas to do what he needs to do, and what everyone wants him to do. You know, I think he done what he done for a reason, and that's my opinion of it.
Shane, you mentioned confidence,
and that's not an insult or by any ways to Joshua, because I don't even box, so he's a lot better than I am, but it's just an opinion about fitness. He's got explosive power, and he can get you out there one punch or a combination of 5. There are his attributes. Big, strong man, but obviously he's not got the attribute, as in to stick at a pace and go with it. I don't believe. He's not showed it us yet.
Shane, you mentioned confidence with AJ. I've seen people suggest over social media that since the Ruiz defeat in New York, he hasn't quite looked the same. He's been a little gun shy. Do you see that yourself? Do you think that's been the case, that maybe there's a little mental blocking away from him, from letting his hands go a little bit more, from being the AJ pre-Ruiz one?
Definitely, yeah. With the Ruiz fight, the first fight, obviously everyone knows what happened. The second fight, he done well. He got the win. But every time Ruiz hit him, he got shook to the boot. Shook. Now, none of us wanted Joshua to lose. I want Joshua to lose when he fights Tyson, but I want Tyson to be the man to take it. Like, it was the biggest fight of history and so on, and I wanted Tyson to get the glory. When he was losing, for me, my ideal Joshua fight is for me to see vulnerabilities in him, but get their opponent out there. Like in Pulev, I seen, not like a great, I was an idiot, but I seen vulnerabilities in the Pulev fight enough, and that was it. Enough. I was happy to see what I seen, and then let him get him out there like he did. And listen, for me, if it was my opinion, and especially who he is, I wouldn't listen to no one. It's embarrassing. He's got to take. He's pushing the corner. I'd do what's best for him, and I'd have 5 fights, at least 4 or 5 fights, fighting good opponents, building his confidence back up, and then come again. Because if he goes in again, for me, he's not winning. For me, I can't see a way how to win. For me, he can't sustain that pressure. What needs to be sustained, and he obviously can't outbox him. So I've no idea. It's stupid, but at the end of the day, it's a business, and people around him want to get paid. But if it was me, being his family, people around him, I wouldn't do it. He can sell out Wembley Arena and build his confidence back up, and then listen, he's good enough to beat anyone. But you're not. The where he is at the minute, he's very beatable by a lot of people.
Shane, listening to you talk, I can kind of hear the frustrations at AJ's defeat, because it means Tyson, he can still fight AJ, of course, but it's not as big as what it was until this defeat. How frustrated or disappointed were you all to see AJ lose, knowing what knock-on effect that could have with a potential fight with Tyson? And also, do you feel they will still cross paths at some point?
Yeah, I do think they will cross paths. Listen, the biggest fight in the world's ever seen is gone now, isn't it? But you can only take care of your business. You know, it's a bit of a shit that it never happened beforehand, but obviously stuff got in the way. Obviously, business people, they had I don't know what got in the way, but something got in the way, and it never happened. But you can only deal with your business. And Tyson's got ease to deal with. Even though we're confident, and what we're seeing in the gym is there's no what we're seeing in the gym he can't stand up to. But again, it is heavyweight boxing, and you can be caught with one punch, and it's out. So he has got it to deal with, and it's a risk. Tyson's got the same risk with anyone as it is in Wilder. He can be knocked out by anyone, not because he's got a weak chin or anything. It's because it's heavyweight boxing, and it takes one punch. Steve Cunningham was probably notable at the time, lightest puncher out there, but he nearly flattened him. You know, walked onto a big punch, and that was it. So heavyweight men can punch, whether a punches or not, and it's a risk every time. But barring that one punch, they're not beating Tyson. He can outbox him, he can outfight him, he can out-art him, he can out-grit him, and I'm not talking silly. It's just what we see and what's in him, and it's definitely. I've never seen it in anyone else. As a matter of fact, there's a young lad in the gym, Jared Anderson, and him he has got very similar, totally different style than Tyson, but very similar. I can see a lot of Tyson, as in, do you know when Tyson was coming up and he was sparring all these like champions and so on. I could see it like. Tyson goes to war with Jared, and Jared gives as good as he gets, but he does take he takes some good punches. And listen, every time he gets a good punch, he'll try and fire back. And I rate him to take over boxing when Tyson's gone. And when he's ready to challenge for titles, Tyson will be gone. But I do rate him to do it then, because he's a super talent. He's got something what you're not going to learn. The exact same as what Tyson's got, and that's only in a few people. I'd like to say I've got it, but I've not got it. You know, any person what goes into the ring would like to say they've got it, but you don't know you've got it until the chips are down and you've got to pull out. And I see in Jared, and I know Tyson's got it, and Tyson's always had it.
Shane, before I let you go, just two other things I want to get your thoughts on. Firstly, we obviously got Tommy here as well. What do you make of the entire situation between him and Jake Paul, and Jake's $1 million offer for a potential fight there?
I think it's good for boxing. It's a very a lot of people will tune into that what's never tuned into boxing before, from both behalves with Tommy and him. Listen, they've got to come to some forms of arrangement. I believe they're very close, and I think, listen, Tommy will be happy with the deal, because he's told me a little bit about it. And listen, it's going to happen, and when it does happen, I think the best result would be a draw, so they could do it again. But I believe Tommy will win. But it's for me again. Tommy can hit very hard, but Tommy's a novice, so it won't be a. It could be a blowout, but there's all possibilities that it could be a good fight. But I believe Tommy gets the win, and it's good for boxing, and hopefully he can probably fight his brother after that. You know, and listen, it's all about earn a few quid, and if you can earn a few quid first of all, and then roll the dice at the end of it, you've done your job. And Tommy's earned his money, hasn't he? He's done well, and I think it'll be good. But with Tommy on the professional ranks properly, I think he'll do very well. But he needs the experience behind him. He needs another 10 fights, and step him up slowly.
Shane, just as I haven't had a chance to see your father in a while, how is John doing?
Yeah, my dad's all right. I just got off the phone to him. Listen, my dad's sick that he can't be over here, isn't he? But I think he's used to it now. But yeah, he seems to be all right. He gets updated on what's happening and so on, and he has his input, and that's about it. And so, listen, nothing can be out with that. Once it's out your hands, it's out your hands, and there's nothing you can do. And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do with my dad coming to America and so on. So it is what it is. But we do talk to him every day, and he, like I say, he has his input, and it gets done, and that's it.
Well, Shane, as you know, I have a great relationship with your father, a lot of respect for him as well. So I hope if you see this, John, I hope you're all good, and I'll catch up with you when I'm back in the UK. But I'll leave you now to catch up with the team. Obviously, a few more interviews to do before you can go off and enjoy the rest of this beautiful weather. I appreciate your time. Thank you for speaking to me and Boxing Social.
See you now. Thank you very much.